4 scouts, 3 teammates, 2 alarm doors, 1 blood door, and a whole lot of giants. A different team of prisoners valiantly sacrifice themselves to divert enemies away from this sector, but there's still a whole lot of death standing between us and that extraction scan. So let's dive headfirst into the danger and do our best to not die a mostly pointless death like those who came before us. Hello everyone, Professor Scaler here, and welcome to the alternate R2B2 level guide. Just like always, we will be starting off with the recommended loadout, and for this level, that is going to be a bio tracker and 3 burst and or sniper sentries. The reason for the bio tracker is because, well, as you know, I recommend it in about 99% of my level guides. It's the only informative tool in the game, and information is very crucial when you're dealing with basically anything, whether it be sneaking through a zone, dealing with scouts, or dealing with an alarm door. So let's bring the one and only tool that can actually provide us with all that good information. As for the 3 sentries, we're bringing these with us to help us out for all of the alarm doors and the blood door we have to deal with in this level. Because while mines and seafoam normally work out really well for alarm doors, the first alarm in this level, there's not a single door we could shut mine and seafoam, so if we did bring a mine deployer and a seafoam launcher, we wouldn't really be able to utilize them properly for it. And while we could for the final alarm door, I find it's just better to bring 3 sentries with us, that way we can use them for both of the alarms, and there's a good chance we'll find an explosive mine at some point in the level that we can utilize for that very last blood door in the level, but if we don't, no big deal, we have guns, we have sentries, we should be good. As for which ones you want to bring, you can bring 3 burst or 3 sniper or a combination of the 2. Personally, I prefer bringing 2 burst sentries and 1 sniper sentry since the sentries will be so far away from us and our teammates while working on the scans, so having Biotracker Symbiosis active all the time for the sniper sentries to make them fire faster and be a whole lot more efficient isn't really something we can easily do, so having 2 burst sentries that work perfectly fine without Biotracker Symbiosis will make things a little bit smoother for us during the alarms, and we don't have to shoot nearly as many enemies. Dropping down into level, you'll see that your main objective is to distribute power cells into 4 specific generators, and these generators will be located throughout the level. As for you and your team, you're going to be dropping down to zone 265, and on the way down, you're going to be given a cargo crate which will always contain the 4 power cells that you need. So these are given to you for free, you do not have to wander throughout the level and try to find out where they are located at. As for zone 265 itself, in here there are going to be a lot of giant strikers and giant shooters, so I recommend that you just sneak your way through. You do not have to kill any of these enemies by any means. The security door to zone 266 later is just a full team scan, so no alarm that would pull them in. So just sneak your way through, grab the resources if you want them, and keep an eye out for that generator. As there are actually going to be a total of 3 different generators in this zone that will always be located in the same 3 spots, but only one of the generators is actually the one that you need. So if you want, you could just hug the left of the zone, just keep going through, as this will take you through a room that has 2 of the 3 in it. And once you find the generator that is open up and you can put a power cell into it, just plug that power cell in, and then just continue throughout the zone looking for resources. Or if you don't want to, you could just simply head to the northeastern side of the zone, and up there you'll find the security door to zone 266. This security door, like I said, is just a full team scan, so finish the scan, open it up, and you can head right on in. Inside zone 266, you don't have to worry about giant strikers and giant shooters anymore, but there are going to be a few regular strikers and shooters, as well as a fair amount of spitters in this zone, and you want to make sure that when you're going throughout here and dealing with all the enemies, you do not go guns blazing, even if the entire zone wakes up, because if you do, the enemies in the previous room can potentially wake up, and that is a very big room that can sometimes have anywhere from 2 to 6 giant strikers or giant shooters in it. So if you value your ammunition, I recommend you deal with 266 by melee only and you do not shoot, that way you don't risk pulling in any giants whatsoever. In the southeast corner of it, there will be that generator. This is the only generator in the zone. It's always going to be the second one you need a power cell in, so plug a power cell into it, and then you can just go back up the stairs, go to the northern end, and there you'll find a security door to zone 267. Just like the previous security door, this is just a full team scan, so finish the scan, open it up, and your team can head into that area. Inside zone 267, there are going to be more enemies for you to clear out, there are going to be more resources for you to resupply with, and there are going to be a total of 3 more generators, one of which will be the one you can plug your 3rd out of 4th power cell into. So go throughout the zone, deal with all that business, and once you're done with that, all that's really left for you to do is find the location of that 4th and final generator and plug your last power cell into it. The thing is though, this 4th generator, unlike the previous 3, can actually be located in different zones. It will either be in zone 268 to the west, or it will be in zone 269 up to the north. And both of these security doors have class 5 alarms tied to them, which means we do not want to open up the incorrect zone and waste a ton of resources on an extra class 5 alarm. So use the terminal, query that 4th generator, and once you know which one you have to go into, take your power cell over to the door, drop it off there, and then head to the southern end of Zone 267 and set up your sentries in preparation for the Class 5 alarm. Because as you can see with the map overlay, there's only one location enemies can spawn from, which means there's only really one route that they can actually take to get to us. So what you're going to want to do is place them just like you can see my team doing. I've got one of my burst sentries facing towards the open security door. The other burst sentries are around the corner. That way I'll deal with enemies once they get past the first one. And then the sniper sentry is quite a bit further away, since sniper sentries without biotracker symbiosis have a pretty slow rate of fire. So we want to make sure that it can lock onto enemies from a distance and actually shoot them down before they make it past the line of fire and get into the room. As for everybody on your team, you're just going to want to focus on the scans once you get the alarm started. If you're the person with the biotracker though, you do want to every so often wander down to the southern end of the room if you can and just tag those enemies. That way, if they do make it past the 2 burst sentries and they actually get into the line of fire, the sniper sentry, that thing is affected by biotracker symbiosis, so it's shooting a whole lot faster and consuming less ammunition, which will just overall make it a whole lot more efficient. But once you finish every single one of the sets of scans, you could go out there, do a thing the enemies are still left alive, pack up your sentries, and then you can head into 268 or 269, depending on whichever one has your 4th and final generator in it. As for the 2 zones, they are very similar to each other. There will be resources for you to collect. There are going to be 3 generators in each of the zones, only one of which being the one you have to plug the power cell into. But you do want to be careful, because even though there aren't going to be any regular strikers or shooters in these zones, there are going to be 4 scouts patrolling throughout them. So either just sneak your way past the scouts and leave them be, deal with them with melee, deal with them by shooting them if they're the only scout in the room, or do the worst option, which is what I did, and whiff your melee hit and accidentally wake a few of them up. But once you make your way through the zone, you collect all the resources, you plug the 4th power cell into the generator, you can then head back out to Zone 267 and head to the eastern end where you'll find the security door to Zone 270. This security door is just a full team scan, and we have to go through here because now the level is telling us we have to make our way to Zone 271, as that's where our forward extraction is waiting for us. So to get there, we have to go through Zone 270. As for Zone 270 itself, it's going to have a lot of enemies in there as well as a lot of spitters, so do be cautious. As far as I'm aware, you won't get any giant strikers or giant shooters in here or scouts, so it's just a bunch of smaller enemies. But even then, you don't want to be too reckless, as these rooms can be pretty big and have a lot of enemies in them. But as you go through, clearing out the enemies and collecting the resources, you'll make your way to the back end of it, to the far east, where you find the security door to Zone 270, and this security door is a little bit tricky. I'm not saying tricky as in it's difficult, but tricky as in it tries to trip you up. See, when you walk near it, you may notice that there's blood all over the door and there's a lot of banging sound, which immediately tells you this is a blood door. So your first instinct might be to walk up to the door and place an explosive mine on it if you found one in the level, or just simply plop down your sentries facing towards it and then open up the door and walk away from it. But the thing is, not only is this a blood door, it's also a Class 5 alarm, and the Class 5 alarm is what we have to deal with first. As you can see with the map overlay, there are 2 different locations enemies could possibly spawn from, and because we're running a triple sentry loadout, we want to make sure that we leave all of these doors open. And then when it comes to your sentries, position them sort of like you can see my team doing. We've got the 2 burst sentries in the room with us facing towards the door at the top of the staircase, doing a bit of a crisscross formation, that way they're not always going to be shooting at the same enemies over and over again. And then we have the sniper sentry out in the previous room facing towards the west, because that is a very big, long open room. So if enemies spawn all the way to the west, they're going to have to go through the line of fire of the sniper sentry, and even though it won't have biotracker symbiosis helping it out, it will still be able to put in some pretty good work. And then once you got your sentry set up, you could just head over to the security door, activate the alarm. You're going to have to deal with a full team scan and then 4 big red scans, so your team will be able to stick together the entire time, working all the scans, and once they're all finished, you could just go over, deal with any of the enemies that are still left alive, pack up your sentries, and then head back to the security door to 271, and now you just have to deal with the blood door. If you happen to find an explosive trip mine at any point in this level, you could just save it for here and make this blood door almost trivial to deal with. If that isn't the case though and you have no explosive mines, no big deal. Just plop your sentries down facing towards the blood door, open it up, fall back a distance, and then just let the enemies come to you and shoot any of them that make it past your sentries. And then once every single one of the enemies are dead, you can head into Zone 271 itself. At the back end of it, your extractor scan will be waiting for you. And this is a silent extraction, which means you don't have to deal with any enemies coming after you whatsoever. So once you're done with the blood door and you make your way to that scan, you just have to get up to 100%, and once you do, you are done and you have beaten alternate R2B2. And that's all there really is to it. Alternate R2B2 was the first of the Rundown 2 levels that showed us just how annoying spitters can be, especially in larger numbers. And granted, this alternate version doesn't have quite as many spitters as the original, but spend too much time in it, and you'll definitely be hearing those shrieks in your sleep. They still haunt my dreams to this day. As always though, thank you for watching this video all the way to the very end. I do hope that I was able to provide you with some assistance in beating this level. If you have any tips or tricks this level that you want to share, any questions for me, or you just have something in general that you want to say, please do let me know down in the comments. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more from me, and if you want to join the community I'm building, there's a link to my Discord down in the description, as well as some other links you might want to check out. Among those links being one that will take you to the official GTFO merch store, which I highly recommend you check out if you're a fellow GTFO enthusiast. Until next time, remember that just because you have a gun, it doesn't mean you always have to use it, and hopefully, I'll see you all in the next video.